What is going on with the Tennessee market? Is it actually getting better or is it getting worse? Because the news says that the world is crashing, but what do the numbers say? We're going to be jumping into the surprisingly positive outlook on the housing market in Tennessee, and we're going to do that right now. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Scale Through the Fail. I am your host, Robert Bean, and today we are talking about Tennessee. And while it says Middle Tennessee, we're actually going to get a little bit of hint of East Tennessee and West Tennessee as well. And honestly, the underlying numbers and what we're going to be talking about today is relevant regardless of where you are in Tennessee. So if you are an agent, if you are someone who lives in Tennessee, if you are a loan officer who serves Tennessee, this is the place for you to be because we're actually going to dive into the numbers. None of that random, artificial, doesn't even make sense, out of context crap that you see on the news. And how about all those numbers you see people post on Facebook that don't explain actually what they mean or why they're good or bad? We're going to actually get into the numbers, explain what's going on in the loan world, what's going on in the housing market, and what you can be doing to stay on top of it. So I hope you're excited because we are starting the real estate update from Middle Tennessee. Everything you need to know about making money, buying houses, selling houses, what the data looks like, we're jumping into right now. But just remember, this is live, so we absolutely want you to comment. We want you to share your thoughts, your own perspective on what's happening where you're at. That's important. Listen, how you're living the experience, your housing journey, just drop a comment. And in fact, if you're listening right now, drop a comment on where you're viewing from. What city, what state. We've got people from out of state that tune into these because, again, learning how to read these numbers, even if you're not in Tennessee, learning how to read these numbers can change the way you do real estate forever and give you a much different outlook than what the media shows you. All right? Another friendly reminder, everything here is as data-driven as possible. It means it is not an opinion as much as we can, but that does not mean there aren't opinions involved. We try to always disclose which areas we're uncertain about or we need to do more research on, which parts are opinions and which parts, to our best of ability, are absolute facts. At the end of the day, though, whether you are a consumer, a client, whether you are an agent, loan officer, doesn't matter. The responsibility falls to you to do your own research. So fact check me. Everything you're going to see today, I encourage you, go fact check it. Say, does that make sense? I'm going to go check that out for myself, okay? All right. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover the month-over-month interest rates, the key housing market stats, relevant objection handling, one of the most popular objections that we're getting month over month, and then just a couple mistake-saving tips. What you'll get from today, kind of continuing on, we're going to, again, give you as accurate as possible interest and mortgage application data, accurate as possible Middle Tennessee market data. We're going to touch a little bit in East and West, and then we're going to give you some clear ways to handle common objections around markets, market data, and interest rates. Okay? Now, if you feel like you don't walk away with a bunch of value, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to focus, take notes, and ask questions. Simple as that. That means if you need to silence your phone, remove that distraction, do it. You showed up here for a reason, right? Don't let anything get in the way of you taking away this extremely valuable information that can help you succeed as a consumer or as a professional. Have a pen and paper or whatever writing format you like. Get that ready. Take these notes, okay? We'll try and have a replay available to you as well. And then, of course, ask questions. Again, drop them in the comments. Warm yourself up on that keyboard or on your phone by telling us what city and state you are viewing from right now. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the state of mortgage, give you a quick highlight of what's going on in the mortgage industry month over month. And then after we do that, we're going to bring in some special guests, Mark Werner and Chris Raines, Tennessee real estate experts who are going to be talking about the Tennessee real estate market with me. But first, Let's get Larry, the mortgage guy. My man, Larry, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, boss. How are you doing, sir?
I gotta give everyone a shout out, praise to Larry, who is sitting in a hotel room, I'm guessing right now,
Yes.
who made time for this. He is probably the most dedicated loan officer I've ever met. He shows up so consistently. So, Larry, I just got to say thank you for being here. I appreciate it because I know you've got a busy schedule.
Yeah, no problem. Of course, I always have to negotiate with the wife. Today's actually her birthday, so yeah, we'll see what we have to do. But she's with 4 boys right now, so she's good.
We're not going to get into marriage counseling here, Larry, okay? But I feel like this was a mistake.
Don't worry about it.
What
Trust
we're
me.
going to do, Larry, is we're going to breeze through this, and then you're going to leave, okay?
No.
She's expecting you to be gone for 2 hours. You're going to surprise her by leaving an hour early, grabbing some chocolates, and then being like, hey, babe, I missed you so much. I couldn't be away from you. Here's some chocolates. Okay? That's the plan. Vote yes if you agree that's a great plan for Larry. Drop a comment if you think that's a great plan.
All right, we'll see.
All right, Larry, let's get into it, okay? So month over month, what are interest rates looking like?
So, of course, we're always interested in what's the highest and the lowest. The highest was 7.14. Now, that was on Friday. I don't remember the exact date. The reason I remember that because it was 7.12 when we made our report on scale through the fail.
That's right.
Right. So it actually went up. So we were like, when we did the report at 7.12%, that was a 6-month high. 6 months. Okay. See, we're waiting for rates to go down, and the rates have been the highest for 6 months. So if you're waiting for rates to go down, you might be waiting for a while. Okay. So the more of the story is we saw the highest rates in 6 months this month, right? Which was a 7.12. And then I reported to Robert, it went up 0.02%, meaning it's not slowing down. It wasn't like a weird spike. It was drifting up, right? However, the rates did go back down, and we'll talk about that later, but I just wanted to let you know that the highs was 7.14%. And it's because of the debt ceiling conversations, which is, I wouldn't say something that was unexpected, but a lot of us didn't consider that as part of the variables that affects rates. Even top, mortgage like guru, magician, fortune teller guys predicted that rates were going to be in the 5s in mid-May. But then because of the bank failures and because of the debt conversation, other things happening, the rates did something that we didn't expect, meaning they stayed up. And they kept them climbing because, of course, summertime, we're expecting rates to go down a little bit because that's buying season, right? Or summer, spring, right? And also inflation we were seeing was starting to slow down, which we'll I actually talk about next. But the fact that it's slowing down, a lot of people were thinking, okay, rates should be in the 5s. Now, again, the rates did go down a little bit. I just checked it. It's like 6.9 right now, but it did drop a little bit. And is mostly due to the fact that the Fed has already, I would say announced it, but they've already showed indication that they're going to skip the next rate hike, right? So we've been consistently—
They have not been skipping, guys, just to be clear. They have not been skipping. Yep. So for a lot of investors who kind of hang on every word that Jerome Powell says for the Feds, and a lot of people do hang on every word he says, for him to say we're very likely, again, this is where we get into that gray water of like it's assumptions. I'm very likely going to skip. Well, Jerome hasn't skipped the last 8 months, 9 months of hikes, maybe even more. So that's a pretty big indicator that he feels confident we may be seeing some normalization.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, like Robert said, we've been witnessing consistently the Fed hiking the rates, right? And every single month or whatever, we're like, are they going to hike it, as high as they usually hike it, or then hike it lower, right? And we're always expecting some sort of change, and it never changes. It's constantly the same hike every single time, and that's when we're like, crap, dude, this is not looking good. So for the first time ever in my foreseeable memory, they are acting like, yeah, we're going to take the week, we're going to take the month off this month, right? Which is great news because that's supposed to, of course, lead to lower interest rates. But again, explanation from the mortgage experts, the debt ceiling conversations, and other I guess natural, unforeseen things that happen had kept the rates high. But we believe that the rates will eventually, at least not go higher anymore. Then hopefully they'll stay in what we think is the average, which is 6.85 or high sixes, or maybe lower, right?
So let's talk about the lowest real quick,
lowest.
Larry. So we saw that lowest 6.45.
Yeah, 6.45 was literally about 2 or 3 days before the announcements by the Fed. The Fed makes their announcements usually in the middle of the month, right? So rates were, of course, a little higher. Again, average six and a half or higher. But the rates were 6.45, which was like a 3-week low, which isn't amazing, but for us, we're celebrating because we've been seeing 6.85. So anything between 0.3 to 0.5 drop, we celebrate, right? I mean, we did the math. It's like saving $30 to $50 a month, right? Which is like 5 figures on the whole scheme of things. Okay, but the reason why we saw 6.45, again, rates were probably supposed to be higher, but because of the announcements that are coming in for the job index, the CPI, consumer price index, and of course the whether or not the Fed is going to increase rates, the volatility was there, so they were lowering the rates because of that. They're still expecting possibly the announcements to show a weaker economy, therefore rates will go down. But if the rates were to go up, well, that makes sense because it kind of goes back to where we were at anyways, which is 6.85 average. Right.
Yep. And that's what we're just going to say is the average sitting at 6.85. It's almost like someone somewhere has been saying that this was going to be the average for like the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't know who.
As far as I can remember, Robert, you've literally put a stamp, set in stone. We're going to be in the high sixes, right? 6.75, 6.9-ish, whatever. Of course, when we get in the sevens, we're like, wait a minute, what's going on? And we get below 6.5. Whoa, that's kind of crazy. But for the most part, 6.75 is just another day. I mean, let's put it this way. We did Scale to the Fail every single week. And more than half of those shows was kind of boring because we're like, same crap, same numbers, same everything.
Sideways. Right? Yeah,
they call sideways movement.
Let me bring in Chris Rains and Mark real quick. I want to ask for their clients and what they're doing in the real estate industry, how they've been seeing the rates in Tennessee affect their current clients. So I'm going to pull Chris and Mark in. Chris and Mark, where are you guys viewing from today, by the way? Where are you at right now?
I'm out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
I'm out of White Bluff, Tennessee.
Where is White Bluff, by the way?
Believe it or not, it's insanely convenient. It's about 30 minutes southwest down 40 from downtown Nashville.
So let me ask you guys a quick question, and then we're gonna continue on, and I'll bring you guys back again. But I wanted to ask you. So you're out there working with clients all over. I know both of you work. Literally, if you're working with the client, you'll do whatever they need you to do. That's some great traits about you guys. You go above and beyond. So you have a pretty diverse amount. You might hit someone in East Tennessee and then West Tennessee and then all over Middle Tennessee. So you got a good variety. How has this been affecting your, these volatility in the current industries? Has it slowed down your businesses at all, or has it just made it harder and you just had to work harder?
For me, it certainly made it a little bit harder. We've talked about it before. We're fighting the monthly affordability. So we have house pricing, we have interest rates, we have this, we have that. Yeah, everybody talks about them being high, but at the end of the day, we're looking at monthly affordability. And the buyers are making decisions based on if they can afford $2,000 a month for a house, if they can afford $2,500 a month for this house. Does that work within their budget? And a lot of them are becoming realistic about being able to refi in a couple of years. So they're kind of keeping that in mind. They're hoping, maybe we get down into the 4s to a more normalized rate. They lock something in there, and they're not expecting necessarily to see the 2s and 3s again, but it is possible.
What about for you, Mark? What's kind of some of the things you've seen? I know you've been all over. You've also been, and we're going to let you do a plug at the end for the new YouTube channel you're working on. But I know you've been going all over the place, filming amazing parts of Tennessee. What have you been seeing for where you've been working?
Absolutely, yeah. And tell you the truth, Robert, I've kind of had a similar experience to Chris. Monthly affordability is honestly that's really been crushing a lot of dreams. But it's I guess it's good now that we've got it out there. We can get a little bit more serious, a bit more realistic about our goals and expectations.
Mm.
You know, it's a tough pill to swallow for everybody, but you know, you've got to take your medicine, unfortunately.
I love what you just said there, Mark, because I think one of the biggest issues when I see people not buying homes who can, I'm not talking about those who truly it's unaffordable for them. I'm not talking about them. Respect, help them, we'll get them to that place. I'm talking about those who can but don't. I think one of the biggest issues I see is that they don't treat buying a home as seriously as they should. I don't think they really understand the value of what a home brings to their personal generational wealth, so that they'll turn around and they'll say, I can't afford it, right? But they'll keep their Netflix subscription and their Disney Plus subscription, and they'll still go to Starbucks, and they'll still do, and I'm not judging them for it, because I think it's a picture that's not taught in America. But the reality is that if they can afford those other things, which aren't actually necessities and will never make them any money or set them up for better success, if they can still afford those, then they still have room to try and afford a home. I'm not saying it isn't hard. I'm not saying it doesn't suck, but owning a home is the single greatest decision. I think Forbes said this was the single greatest move that a family could make to change their generational wealth. The single greatest one. Right.
Can I chime in real quick?
I was just going to actually ask you, Larry, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, there's actually a report by the U.S. Census Bureau. It's a little bit dated, but it's still relevant. But they said that the difference in net worth from renters to homeowners is 80 times greater for the homeowner. That means once you go from being a renter to a homeowner, your net worth multiplies by 80. Right. And the two main reasons why is because of equity. Like you said, you can't build equity without owning a home, and retirement accounts, of course. But for the most part, like you said, Robert, it's the difference maker is renting and homeowners. What's the difference? Is going from that particular part of your life, renting, to being a homeowner, because equity is so important. Right. Yeah. So it's 80, literally 80 times. You can Google it. You can look it up. U.S. Census Bureau, 80 times more net worth.
And even if it was 30 times, even if it was 40 times, like I guarantee you go to anybody right now and you go, Chris, I would love to give you 80 times your net worth right now. We think Chris would be like, oh, no, I'm sorry, but I'm busy. Dude would drop whatever he's doing and be like, yes, please. I'll take 80 times my worth right now. So we're going to people saying, hey, I want to give you 80 times your worth right now. And they're going, that's a little tough on me right now. And again, I'm not including those who truly can't. Okay.
There's a lot of them that don't understand what their net worth is too, though. You're fair. Going into
that's why I believe this should be a class. This should be taught in.
You're going into a term that's so far-fetched for some people that they think their net worth is whatever they have in the bank. And sometimes that's $5. And even if you have $5, it might still be possible for you to buy a house with all the different programs that are out there. But still, and then, it's not hard to multiply that $5 by 80. You still don't have very much, but it's better than $5. But at the end of the day, somebody that buys a house that only had $5 to begin with, or even $500 to begin with, I would say that multiplying by 80 statistic is actually far, far greater than 80 times.
Yeah, because I don't think it takes in the compound effect. I think I think it's a single generation effect. If you take in the compound effect, it's just exponential. It really is, guys. All right, so I'm going to bring Mark and Chris back in just a little bit when we get back into the marking data. Mark, Chris, thanks so much. We'll see you guys in just a couple minutes. All right, Larry, so let's kind of move on to what we were talking about, and we're wrapping it up. So I know applications, tell us about that month over month.
So I probably got the most applications maybe in a 6-month period back in April. Okay, April was like, wow, it's amazing, it's going crazy. May has drastically slowed down. Okay, from my personal experience. Now, of course, the system might be different, depending on the market. Of course, loan officers all have different businesses, right? They have different sources of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, and I depend on referral partners, that means real estate agents, right? So if real estate agents if I'm not getting applications, that means I'm not getting referrals from real estate agents. That says one of two things. One, they don't like me anymore, so they're not going to refer me anything, which hopefully is not true. Or number two, they're just not getting as much business as they did back in April. So in my personal experience, that is what I felt. Yes, applications are down.
And so you and I talked about this last week, but I feel like it's appropriate to bring up here too. Just because someone is running in a particular direction does not mean that behind them is a giant scary monster that's chasing them. Okay? Just because you see someone doing something, reacting to something, does not mean that their reason is valid. So when you see someone watch the news, and we know that even though we tell them not to get it from the news, people still go to the news, and they go. TikTok, by the way, is the #1 news source right now in the world. TikTok. Tell me how you're going to get proper context in 15-second videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm just saying you can't get proper context, so you can't use TikTok as your news source. You should use TikTok as your open the door to find out what you want to learn more about source, okay? So
Agreed.
When we see rates creep up, like we did, then we see debt ceiling conversations, and then you got the Republicans and the Democrats, and each side is saying it's the other guy's fault, and the other guy's doing, and this is the reason why we're not doing what we need to do, right? And then you've got president elections, and people are starting to do their announcements, and this guy's running. People get reactive. And let me tell you this, and I mean this in the most respectful way. Reactive people almost always lose. Okay, so when you see people reacting to all the crap that's going on in the news, of course applications are going to go down. They don't know why they're not applying. They're just afraid. They're concerned. They don't know why. Larry, you and I talked about this. If you see the rates go up, that might be one of the best times to get your application in, because it's not a commitment to a loan, right? Because almost always historically, when we see drastic increases, soon enough, we'll see a decrease, and you want to be ready. But if you wait and it's already in a good rate margin, right, a good rate range, and now you're going to apply, you're going to catch it when it's going up on its peak again versus being ready when it's at its lowest. And Larry has actually done a great job of showing examples of this that he's done with his clients, where he shows how they continually, those who were ready won. Some of them saved upwards of $30,000 off their loan. Who would like to save $30,000? Like, I don't care how rich you are. If you can just save $30,000 on the same product, yes, please. Like, all right. So I think it's really important for anybody listening, especially agents, because you are the ones guiding them, and then loan officers as well. Remember to not be reactive, to teach your clients how to be proactive. But the best way to teach them to be proactive is for you to be proactive in educating them and guiding them. So yes. I'm not surprised when we saw applications are down. I'm like, yeah, look at all the crap in the news. Of course they're down. Of course they're down. But the smart people are they were ready when it hit 6.45. They were ready when it hit 6.85 again, and from 7.14. They were ready and they won.
Yeah, we actually did a math comparison, because we showed how rates went down a little bit, and it was like maybe 0.2% difference. I don't remember the number, but it was a lower rate, and we did the math. It was a difference of about $30 to $40 a month, and we did the math. That's like $12,000.
Yeah,
right. And I don't know if you saw my comment on the post, Robert, but $12,000 pays for your real estate agent, right? Basically, if you're a real estate agent and you save your clients that much, $30 a month, you basically paid for your own commission, right?
And if we're even more superficial, let's say, $30 a month doesn't sound like that much. Go watch a movie. Go pay for your Starbucks. Go pay for your streaming services. Are you telling me that if I turn around and said, Larry, I'm going to pay for your Starbucks for the next month, you'd be like, oh, no, I don't want free Starbucks. No, you'd be like, yeah,
No,
give me free
dude.
Starbucks. Great. You get this stuff. You get ahead by just making wise decisions. All right, we got to move on. We'll take too long. So what you said you saw something good recently. So talk about the good and the bad of what you've been seeing in amongst loan officers and lending side.
So the good, to me, the good behavior or good habits or whatever you want to call it, good actions that were taken by real estate agents was engaging with their lenders, because let's be honest here, guys, that's what everyone's thinking about. They're thinking about rates, right? They're not thinking about home prices. They should be, right? But they're thinking about rates right now, right? That's like the hot topic. Should I buy right now? Rates are really high right now. No one's saying the housing prices are too high or the housing prices are too low. They're saying the rates are too high. That's their number one response why they're not buying, right? So having a relationship with your lender who can literally tell you real time what the rates are is very important. So that's what I believe a lot of the good real estate agents or the real estate agents that are doing a good job or helping their clients, that's what they've been doing. They've been partnering up with the lenders. They've been building like sort of a team or a battle plan together, right? The
Proactive.
bad,
That's being proactive, right? And so, so the bad.
Yeah. The bad is basically just kind of treating it like everything's normal, like business as usual. Oh, you need to buy a house? Well, I have 3 lenders I can recommend for you to talk to, and let me know when you're pre-approved. And that's basically all they do. And now you're
reactive, right?
Yeah. You're allowing the clients to go do their own search. They're Googling. They're seeing all this bad information. They're searching. Oh crap, rates are really low, whatever. Or they see a really crazy low rate at. I'm sorry, rates. They see rates are really high, but they might see like a crazy low rate by Rocket Mortgage, and then they end up
say that's how they end up making those really bad mistakes that they regret because you as an agent, and I always put on the agents first, and then I put on the loan officers. But you as an agent, aka also loan officer, you didn't guide them, so they felt that they didn't get enough from you. That's why they go to Rocket Mortgage, because they don't believe that you provided them the best option.
I really believe
they wouldn't go.
Yeah, I really believe if a real estate agent doesn't have a go-to lender that they literally walk them to the lender and say, I need you to meet my person. He or she's they're going to get your loans closed nicely, smoothly, quickly. There's not going to be any surprises. The communication is great. If you have that relationship, you're gonna do a better job for your client. You'll provide a better buying experience for your client. Then, okay, well, here's 3 business cards. Good luck. Tell me which one you want to work with, and we'll go from there. I mean, which one is really the expert? Which one is really the quarterback of the team, right? Who's actually calling the plays? So, yeah.
So let's talk about the objection that we saw. So you shared this one.
So to me, I laugh about this. And Robert, you and I talked about this back in January when we knew it was happening. But it became a thing in April and May, which is the low-level pricing adjustments. Like,
For those who don't remember, that's those charts that you saw, and you saw these, by the way, on the news too. And I can't believe that it's legal for like news networks. Like, now I'm not talking about satire like Babylon Bee. I'm talking about Fox. I'm talking about CNN going on the air to millions of people and intentionally saying inaccurate or out of context. I don't understand how that's real. Like, I don't understand how that's legal. So this is those charts you saw where you saw the graphs and it said, okay, if you have better credit scores, you're screwed, right? Anybody remember those? Drop in a chat. Tell me yes if you remember those charts coming out where they were saying, President Biden screwing over people. By the way, this wasn't from President Biden, just so you know. But we always blame the sitting president. So President Biden screwing over people with higher credit scores, right? And then people who have bad credit scores are totally getting it made. Like, it's easy, silver platter. Anybody remember that? Drop a yes if you remember seeing stuff like that, because this is what objection is related to. Okay, but go ahead and continue.
Yeah. And like Robert put it so eloquently, it was the Robin Hood tax, right? To steal from the rich and give to the poor, right? Hey, smart, good credit people, we're going to charge you more, right? And we're going to punish you for having good credit. And you guys who suck at credit, we're going to give you a discount. We're going to hook you up, right? We're going to take money from the rich and give it to the poor. The difference is that you don't understand. You're already paying a very small fee for the high credit, and the increase is very minimal compared to how much these lower credit people are getting charged, and their discount is large, but they're still paying like 10 times more than the good credit people as a whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're bridging the gap a little bit, but it's not like I'm taking, $1,000 from you and giving $1,000 to the bad credit guy. It's more like I'm taking $200 from you, and I'm giving the low credit guy $1,000 discount, but he's still paying $3,000, right? He's paying like 10 times more than you're paying, right? So, and another thing that's kind of funny to me, is comedic, is that people with lower credit scores, their discounts is probably not going to apply anyway, because they're more than likely going to go with a government loan, with the FHA loan. This low level pricing.
Trust me, guys, the low credit score people are not getting conventional loans.
No, they're not.
They can't. The parameters are so high. Yes. They can't. So this is why we're laughing. We're laughing because it's ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense that what national news, and then I saw, this is what kind of hurt me in a way, is I saw very creditable agents that I know that are very smart agents share this graph and literally say things like, well, I guess I'm just going to drive down my credit score now because there's no point. And I'm like, a lot of people look up to you. You can't say stuff like that. You can't just do that. You're supposed to be the voice of reason when you hear all the BS that the mainstream news is giving you. And so, this is why when we go over to the difficulty hard, here's why it's hard. Because it's going to require you to not be peer pressured into believing something that's not true. And that is hard for us. When 10 people are all screaming in your ears one thing, it's very hard to clear your head and say, hold on, but what's the thing I'm actually reading in front of me? So that's why I believe that this objection is hard, is because it's going to require you to be so independent in your thinking that you've got to know your interest rates. You got to stay up to date. You've got to be knowledgeable of what this stuff means. I had never seen a chart like that before, just so you know. So I went and had to study it. Then I went and got advice from Larry because I knew Larry was studying it. And I spent time to make sure, because I said, if this is true, it's a really big problem. Okay. And if it's not true, that's a big problem all in of itself, because it's being presented as true. And then the last part is you got to share this knowledge, guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Go ahead. Go ahead. If you Google it or look up the charts and you don't understand it, reach out to us. We'll explain to you. But just so you understand, there's increases in fees, but there's also discounts. People don't think about that. Like if you look at the chart, there's areas where you're getting charged more, but you're also getting charged less over here. So there's increases and decreases across the board for all levels of buyers. However, if you're a low credit score or a high credit score person, and if you're putting this much down, you're putting this much down. But they only focus on one little area, right? So, the takeaway from my perspective is, if you're a high credit person, you might pay another $500, right? But if you're a low credit person, instead of paying $3,000, you're paying $2,000. That's the difference.
Yeah. So the down payments. It now with this new layout, just so you guys know, it's smarter. And again, I'm going to say this objectively. You need to decide for yourself, fact check, all that. Objectively, it's smarter for you to not put down more on these conventional loans. It actually rewards people for putting down less. Why didn't anybody talk about that?
Why would you want that? I'll take a discount for putting less down, but no one talked about that. Biden's out to screw us, basically, And
again, remember, President Biden had nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with this.
Not to be political, maybe he signed off on it, but we call him Sleepy Joe, right? He was probably sleeping. The loan level guys came in and said, hey, we're doing this. And Biden woke up, signed it, and went back to sleep. That's probably what happened, right? So that is a neutral theory as to what happened. I'm not saying I'm pro or against Biden. I'm just saying in general, he's not smart enough to come up with stuff like this. There's other people that do things like this. Okay. But, again, the takeaway is The people who have better credit scores are paying a little bit more, but you didn't pay that much anyways to begin with. And the low credit people are getting a big discount, but they're already paying a lot anyways, right? But they're probably not even going to use it because they're going to FHA. So,
and then I think the last note we should mention is all these people who are saying now that it screwed them over. This has been baked in for what, 5-6 months now?
Well, it was announced in January, so we all knew about it. We all knew about it, right? So they were adjusting the pricing for it starting in March, even though May is when it got announced because that's when it went into effect. But the thing is, it's for deliverable loans. I mean, May is taking loans right now with the low level pricing, which were structured and originated back in March and April. So when people ask me, or people say, this screwed me over, this screwed me over, it's like, I've had clients who are all high credit scores. They didn't even notice. Like when I give them the loan estimate, there was no difference to them. In fact, when I mentioned it to them, they laughed at it, right? Because it was such a small, insignificant change in comparison of the big scheme of things, right? Of course, it's all relative. Everyone has their pain points; they're different, right? But if it screwed my clients over, it affected them. They didn't even notice it, right? So in reality, it didn't make a difference.
So agents. When you hear these objections, you're talking about all this stuff and people getting screwed. This is why you need to know your stuff, because there are really reputable agents out there who fell for the same gimmick as well. So don't fall for it. Larry, it's time for you to go get chocolate. And we have a consensus. We got Sarah Tim, okay, wife and mother. She says, yeah, Larry, you better. We got Cassie Bone, wife and mother. Great plan. We got a Facebook user. I'm just going to assume is a wife and mother. Says absolutely. So I feel like this is it. Go get those chocolates. Surprise your wife early, and be like, I couldn't be away from you. Here's some chocolates. Happy birthday.
It's more like my wife doesn't like chocolate. It's more like me showing up just to take over for the kids and she can go do whatever. That's really what
I believe that. Listen, my wife loves it even when I watch the kids for 5 minutes just to give her peace of mind. So, Larry, tell your wife thank you for letting us borrow you. I love the insight you bring and the energy as well. And just cutting through the crap. I think it's really important. And imagine everyone in our industry did this. How we would help put Fox and CNN and all those guys out of business because there would be the misinformation would be so obvious. So Larry, thanks for being here. I appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day, brother.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See you later.
All right, guys. So now the moment you've been waiting for, whether or not things are actually good in Tennessee, right? I am so excited to share with you the numbers that we have. Everybody else is over there like crying and saying it's terrible. I'm going to show you some stuff that may put a smile on your face, or at the very least, make you sound super smart when you talk to the next person who says doom and gloom and you're like, actually, let me tell you how it really is. However, I think I see them spraying some breath mints, throwing some breath mints in their mouths. I think Mark is doing a couple quick push-ups just to just get pumped up. So I think we're about to bring in our local experts as well, where we're going to talk about the real estate market. So Chris Rains, there he is, and Mark Warner, thanks for coming back, guys. So we're going to jump into the Tennessee real estate market, and then I'm going to go over some numbers and then kind of ask you guys questions along the way. And see what your feedback is. But for anybody watching right now, just to clear up on a couple definitions, median, you're going to see median throughout this whole thing. It's very important that you understand that in real estate, average is almost never a good term to use. I'm not going to say there aren't exceptions. There are exceptions. That's fine. But generally, you want a median because it's considered or regarded as the most useful when looking at pricing, and it helps to exclude outlying metrics that would really make everything go to crap and not make sense. You're going to see something called percent of original list price. The other definitions are pretty clear, but this one's a little odd. What that means is just that what the home was originally listed for, how much of that did it sell for? Right? If it was listed originally for $300,000, did it sell for $300, $310, $290? We use that because that's a much better indicator of the strength of buying power and selling power going on in our market. And then average. I don't think we have any averages in this. but an average is much more inconsistent. It's very good when all of the data is very close together, like an average interest rate. It's very useful. Median wouldn't make sense in that context, but an average interest rate makes sense. All right, so let's just jump right into it, guys. So I'm going to go over the numbers. If there's anything in particular you want to share, by the way, as I'm going over, let me know. But I'm just going to go through these numbers and then ask a couple questions. Okay, so let's talk about median sales price. The way that it works when you see these numbers, it's the current sales price, the month-over-month change, and then the year-over-year percentage change, okay? So in the entire MLS, we're seeing 392. So we're up $7,000 on the median sales price again. Now, for those who have been with me for a while, every single month, I think except maybe February, we have seen an increase in the median sales price. This is very important because this shows that when everyone was saying there was a crash, and how long have they been saying there's a crash now, Chris and Mark? Like, how long?
5 years?
Yeah, like...
Yeah, they've been saying the crash is coming for 5 years at least.
Right. I know, Mark, you've told me before, you've had clients say they're waiting for the bubble to pop.
Yep.
This is how you know they're not following the numbers, right? I don't gain anything by being ignorant, right? I have to stay on top of this. I want to win in the real estate market. So winning means that I know the numbers and I take advantage of those numbers. I make educated decisions. Every single month, we're seeing an increase in the median sales price. If it was crashing, we would see an opposite, or we would see a steep peak and a steep decline. It depends on what chart you're following. Year over year, we're seeing 3.2% down. Now, this is why this is important. Each month, that gap year over year is staying within a range, a normal volatility range. No numbers are perfect. They're not always perfect, but they're staying right within this range, this 5 to 10% range of year over year. And that's actually a very good sign because that creates a normalcy. So with that being said, you can see Davidson, which is one of the bigger counties, and then Rutherford, which is one of the most popular counties right now in Tennessee. And again, even if you're in East or West, which if you are, drop a comment if you're East or West. Just say East or West Tennessee, because we would love to know what it's looking like over there for you. So month over month, the prices continue to rise year over year. Slight slowing of appreciation a little bit, but that's expected with where we're at because remember, the last few years have been artificially inflated. So it's hard to go off of. New listings. This is also very important. Month over month, we are seeing entire MLS, almost another 500 homes coming on the market. 500 homes for all the, and this is just Middle Tennessee, to be clear, right? If we included East, which is popping right now over in Knoxville and Chattanooga, and we included West, I mean, you'd probably see another 500 homes, if not more. So what this shows us is that people still want to sell their homes, whether it's need or want. That's always an individual case. But I mean, people listing new listings is going up. And that's really, really important for us to know, because if nobody lists homes, nobody buys homes. But if we see another 500 homes, right? I always tell agents, how many homes do you need to sell? Right? Go ahead, Chris.
I just did the math on that. So there's about 18,000 agents or so in Middle Tennessee. So if you take that, the 500 homes actually increases the agent's likelihood of closing an additional deal by about 0.5%.
Nice. And just remember,
you have 500 more homes to sell. That means you got
80% of those. Yeah. And 80% of those agents aren't really working.
They're not doing anything.
So really, if we were to take that 18,000 and do it by the 20% rule, now Chris looks like he's going to pull that up. And he's going to do that math.
3,600, 500 divided by 3,600. So there's a 13% chance, but usually most of the time I doubled it on the last one. So let's go ahead and multiply it by 2, because 90% of contracts have an agent on either side.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
It says 500 homes, but really that means there's 1,000 more opportunities.
Transaction sides. Yeah.
Turn. So that 500. So for the top 20% of agents, that extra 500 listings turns into an additional 27% chance of closing a deal that month.
Come on now. Come on, people. You playing with me right now when you say there's no opportunity.
Yeah.
Get out of here. So, Mark,
If you want to work.
I know you've been doing some videos talking all about amazing parts of Tennessee, showing off neighborhoods and doing a lot of stuff like that. Are you seeing some awesome new opportunities pop up from your perspective? Did you hear me, Mark? Can you hear me?
He doesn't look like he heard you. Mark.
Hold on. I think we lost audio with Mark.
Can you hear us? Hello? He's hanging out there, happy as can be.
I know. I love it. He's got the smile on his face. Oh, he just said he lost audio. We'll come back to Mark then.
What was your question from Mark? Because I can probably take over.
Yeah, you've been helping Mark with building out this amazing YouTube.
Yep.
Oh, now I think Mark's back, but now I can't hear Mark.
Usually I'm the one having all these problems. I'm glad it's somebody else today.
Yeah, it's finally someone else, right, Chris? You get a break at last.
Yep.
So the question I had that I was asking Mark was, as he's going around, as you're going around, you guys are both going out and doing this together. Are you seeing awesome new opportunities? Like, does the numbers match up to what you're seeing? Are you seeing new opportunities appear in the market in different areas?
There's a lot of opportunity out there. So what buyers have now is more homes to choose from. They get closing costs paid for. So their barrier to entry oftentimes is while interest rates are a little higher, their barrier to entry is not as bad. And don't
forget down payments if they're conventional, lower now.
That's lower. You know, they're getting closing costs covered. There's a lot of different things. They're not having to bid 50K over ask. That doesn't mean that there aren't over ask deals going on. But for the most part, the buyers actually have time to go view a house right now and see it whether or not they like it, rather than just having to write an offer and spray and pray. But as far as the inventory coming in, there's a lot of new construction neighborhoods coming in. There's a lot of great places. I mean, we've been doing some filming, and then we've been in Hendersonville and Franklin and Brentwood, and Murfreesboro, Nolensville. We've been a little bit of everywhere over the last few weeks, and going, seeing different communities, seeing what all they have coming up. And I mean, everyone has inventory right now to choose from, which is a good thing to have some inventory. It'd be like going to Walmart and like all the shelves are bare. Like, that's not going to be a very good experience, right? You want to have some inventory, so it needs to come up a little bit and kind of have that balanced market. For a buyer that's entering the market right now, it's not a bad time because of the selection. And, you know, while interest rates are not the best currently, if you can endure them for an extra year or two, I think you're going to be okay.
Mark, you hearing us okay now?
Yes, I'm back. And yeah, I agree with Chris completely. It's definitely a different world than it was like a year ago, where you actually have a little bit of time to dive into things versus just having to pull the trigger as soon.
I remember same day, like same hour. The moment you'd get out of the showing, you'd go sit in your car and type up the offer, try to reach the agent who had 60 phone calls already going on, and just truly like
hey, I had properties that would hit the coming soon status. Like, they would immediately populate. I would pull my car over on the side of the interstate and write an offer on a coming soon listing that we haven't seen yet, that just populated. Like, that's,
to be clear, we don't want those market guys. That's nobody actually wins. You think the seller wins. The vast majority of sellers are buyers. So what they win, they lose. We want a more normal, balanced market. And that's what we're seeing right here. We're seeing homes take a very typical appreciation rate now, month over month, and now slowly getting to that year over year.
I'm gonna touch on that, what you just said about sellers being a buyer. So now you can actually write an offer contingent on your home sale and get that offer accepted, and then list your house and sell it. Like, that's a huge step for most people that the majority of their net worth, as we were talking about, is tied up in their home's equity in order for them to move that money into the next house. Now, there are those buyers out there that can afford to have 2 home payments for a little bit. They're like, you know what? That's fine. We'd rather be able to move, take our time. But most people need to sell.
Yeah.
So,
so this is where we're going to get into very interesting things. This is why everything we do when we do these stats, it paints a picture. We want you to have a kind of a journey of what's happening in the market. So we saw home prices are strong. They're still going up month over month. Okay. Then we saw new listings still popping off. And let me be clear. If the market was crashing, right, one of 2 things would happen. They'd either hold back because they're afraid and take what they have, or if they're upside down on a loan, you would see a massive influx. We're not talking about 500 homes. You would see like 5,000 homes jump on the market. Go back to look at the crash when people were upside down and they needed to sell. It was a mass influx. We are seeing normal growth and flow going through, right? Now we get into homes for sale. Now, this is where it's important. Homes for sale are going down in some areas. And that's going to lead into this next slide where we talk about pending sales and closed sales, which is going to show you new listings popping up, homes for sale overall going down. That doesn't mean that there's less new listings, by the way. It means homes for sale means of what was already on the market, right? Because this is a month-to-month review. What was already on the market, including new listings. So that's going down, which means that there's some activity happening. We saw a very big uptick in pending sales. We saw a huge jump, 5-6% in some areas where people are coming in. So that's why you saw a reduction of homes for sale on the market, because the buyers showed up and said, we're putting them under contract, man. Like, they were not wasting time. And that's really important for you to know, because people don't buy homes in a market they feel is going to crash. If they think that the value of their home is going to drastically decrease, they don't go and buy an asset they think that's going to fall up to pieces tomorrow. They go, I'm going to put it in the bank, let it sit there, and when things get better, I'm going to come out of the weeds and buy it. Right? That's the way we're reactive. Generally, the vast majority of us are reactive. So we'd be reacting. This is the way that people are reacting. What they're saying is, I kind of just, there's a bunch of junk going on. I still think buying a home's smart. There's options available. I'm going to go buy them. And again, to be clear, pending home sales, right? We see a multiple percentage difference month over month between the different areas. Davidson County, okay, this is what's crazy. 16.3% last month. Now dropping down to a 9.9%. That means almost a 7-8% shift. That's a lot of people, just to be clear. That's a lot of people coming in and saying, I'm going to go buy a home, right? So that's really important that we understand that. What's even more interesting is the closed sales ratio. So generally month over month, you'll see a pretty big gap, not big, but a noticeable gap between pending sales and closed sales. And it might be 500 to 1,000 generally in difference. That means, and this is normal, deals fall apart for whatever reason. It could be any reason. It just means that they went under contract, but they didn't close. We're seeing now 479 in closed sales and pending sales 5,120. That's a very menial difference. Here's why. Interest rates are high. Do you know what that means? There isn't anybody playing in the market right now. There's nobody just seeing what's available. Those who are coming out and buying are strong, qualified, serious buyers. Right? Now, Chris, you sell a lot. Mark, I know you're reporting on this stuff a lot. You know, what are you guys seeing? We'll start with you, Chris. What are you seeing with your clients as far as their serious level?
Yeah, so it depends on price point. So my higher price point people are certainly easier to work with right now than my lower price point. My lower price point, while they are serious, I've got some right around that $200,000 very entry level mark. And it is significantly more difficult to find them something that matches their criteria that's livable,
Mm-hmm.
right? That just
But they're still serious, is what you said, right?
Serious, but it's like they're serious buyers, but they're also like completely realistic about the market and knowing that, hey, this is going to take a little bit of time to find.
That's good, though.
The right
It's good
thing.
that they're realistic.
So then you go into more of a median type buyer. So my middle of the road type people. I've got buyers that are serious. I've got buyers that were serious enough. They're selling their townhouse in Murfreesboro, which is a higher market, and moving all the way to Clarksville, not because of friends, not because of family, not because they want to be in Clarksville, but because it is a more affordable area that still allows them to get into Nashville for work, and they can actually buy a single family home for $5,000 more than they're selling their townhome for.
And anybody who's upset about that, I want you to understand that one thing that we need to make very clear: real estate agents have no say in the economics of the housing market. We can educate, which I do believe is important, but understand we don't own the homes that our clients are selling or buying. They decide. I've had clients where I've told them I didn't think it was a good decision for them to offer $50K over for this home. I told them that. And they said, well, we want to do it anyway. Okay. But understand, I didn't inflate the price.
Yep.
People's decisions, individuals made deals. They agreed on the terms. Those terms became the market data.
Usually what happens, so I've got a situation I just went through like that. Buyers in the 750 range. So we're getting up above the median price points. So buyers in the 750 range, all of a sudden we're looking at homes and something comes up and it's like 725. And I'm like, guys, there's no way this sells for 725. It's got a pool, super nice neighborhood. It's over 3,000 square feet. Like, it's just not going to happen, guys. Like, there's no way. And I'm like, you guys can offer whatever you want. I'll write it up. We'll give it a shot. And we wrote it up. And of course, they said, hey, we're holding all offers till Monday. But I think they came up to like 750. And I was like, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to accept this. I'm just going to go ahead and prep you. I'm going to write it. I'm going to present it. Go ahead and get no, we're going to get told no, even at 25K over. Like, this is what's about to happen with this. So 10 o'clock at night, I give it over. Once the agent has it, the agent finally responds. Imagine that. Agent finally responds. He hadn't responded before, but finally, once I said, hey, I've sent an offer to you, then he responds. And he's like, hey, we're holding all offers until Monday, whatever that is. And but just to let you know, like, it's probably going to be around 800 grand for what we land on. And, I kind of kept following up. I think it closed out at like 797 or something along those lines. This was a $725,000 listing, mind you. Right? This was.
And people think just because you have more money, you have it easier in the market.
No, it doesn't make it necessarily
You have
easier.
more options if you're willing to go lower.
Yes,
but you have to understand, if someone's living at a 700K plus lifestyle, it's very hard. It's very hard to turn around and buy a what would be considered a 300K home, right?
These buyers are going from a $450,000 house to a $700,000.
They're already downsizing.
They're upsizing.
Oh, they're upsizing.
Oh yeah, they're upsizing. They're going from a $450,000 house to a $750,000 house.
Then congrats to them for the qualification.
We ended up going new construction. With that said, but they're conservative people.
Yeah. So Mark, you've been going around with Chris as well. You've been looking at all these different neighborhoods, and are you seeing a huge difference in people leaning towards new construction, like Chris was just talking about, versus the typical residential resale side of things?
Excuse me. At least the buyers I've worked with, and I've seen some of Chris' stuff as well. Lower price points, things like that, they're having to kind of rest back on their laurels a little bit, just because, those lower price points, monthly affordability, and you have to get into something livable, right? That will also their loan product and all that good jazz. So they're learning a lesson in patience for sure. Kind of median and upper level. Yeah, Yes, for sure. The newer construction, it just seems to offer a little bit easier avenue than trying to get something up resale. But yeah, there's still plenty of things moving right now.
Yeah. And it's important people understand that new construction is very different than a residential listing. The reason, one of the big things is that time is money for new construction. While someone who's paying their mortgage every month, the value and their equity continues to grow. It's something they've already budgeted for. New construction, they lose money every month. They're not gaining equity in these homes because they're homes designed to sell and they're owned by the loans from the bank. And it's a much different. This is a business versus a personal residence. So understand too, like part of why new construction makes the incentives that they do is because they need to sell these faster. They can't wait 90 days to sell some of these homes, because if they wait 90 days in the vast majority of their inventory, they're going to get closer and closer to that default status, and they can't be there. So when you see a builder turning around, there's always strings attached with these incentives, just to be clear. Nobody gives anything free. And if you think that banks or new construction are generous people, they're a business first, and there's nothing wrong with that. But understand they're doing these incentives because they need to sell sooner than later. That is a need for them. They are on a timeline. They have metrics and reports and milestones they have to hit. So it's very important that you understand that. That's why you're going to see that. And this kind of leads into the median days on market. So we've been talking about the strength of the market here. Okay. Strong selling price, still hundreds of listings just in Middle Tennessee, hundreds more outside of it. We see strong pending sales increase. We see a closed sales increase. We see a narrow gap between the two. And just to be clear, 479 closed sales out of 5,120 is a very good margin. Very good margin. Okay. And so then we get into the median days on market, and this is where it gets crazy. So we had a process back in December where it was going up and up and up of people having more time. And we had some going up as high as 800% increase in median days of market. But here's what started happening right around February and March. The median days of market started to go down. And now that we're in May, we're seeing the median days on market drop significantly. Now, it's still up year over year because you have to remember the COVID times, right? Where things were selling in 24 hours. But the median days on market month over month continue to go down, which means that if you've got buyers who are looking at this, they do not have time to waste. Sure, they're still going to get a showing in, more than likely, right? And feel free to correct me, Chris and Mark, if you disagree. But they're still going to get a showing in. But this is not time to play. This is not time to hang out. You've got to turn around, see the properties that are the best and most relevant to you, and then you've got to go and put an offer on those and on that property, because we're seeing, again, month over month, we're seeing 2 days less over the entire MLS. And I suspect that we're going to see that number decrease as well. I think we're going to see that. So so you guys are, again, showing homes, you're viewing homes, checking out neighborhoods. Are you seeing things selling faster as far as days on market?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the homes that are taken care of and priced right. If it's taken care of, if it's in good shape, if it's priced correctly, it's usually going. The ones that are outdated, need some work, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's still the typical kind of trend. And you got to think, 10 days on the market, that's still a very short time frame. It's not 2 days.
Very short.
But it's still very short. Like,
you work your work week and then all of a sudden it's up.
Yeah. And I mean, there's listings that I take and they're a little overpriced. I've got one that's overpriced currently. I told her, and like, hey, look, we can try and get what you want out of it. She's got a goal. I'm like, we can give it a shot. It might take a few months or longer, but I'm like, I'm just going to be real. Like, I think it's going to take a little while. I don't think we're going to sell it in a weekend. And, I've got one that's been sitting on the market. I've got one land listing that was way overpriced. I took that as a code deal. I got their house and a lot that they own. They wanted me to sell both, but they wanted like some astronomical amount for the land. I just got them to drop it by $50K. and we're starting to get closer to where it should be. But
work in progress.
It's working. Yeah. So luckily, it's it's been listed almost a year. The land has. And I'm like, guys, I don't get.
This is why we use median, by the way, everyone. This is why we use median, because if we didn't use median, that year listing would mess with the data so horribly.
If you were pulling only land listings, because you're pulling housing listings. If you're pulling land listings, your days on market is going to be way longer.
Yeah.
For any land period, it's just how it is. It's a whole different ball game. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, man, if it's priced right and somebody can move into it, it's selling pretty quickly.
Yep. And so I think this data shows us, and we have one more slide as far as the data goes. I think this data really shows us that what we're being told in the news is BS, because there's nothing that supports it in actual numbers. So we have months of supply. We still have months of supply. Now, to be clear, the months of supply is not growing as fast. Okay, so let's use March. Back in March, we had a 58% increase in month supply of homes for sale. We had a 47.4% in April. Now we're sitting at 33.3%. Demand is going up. The value of homes is still strong, and the builders can't keep up. So to be clear, if it's feasible for you to go do what you want to do in the market, go do it now. Don't worry about interest rates. You're not going to lock them on the day you get pre-approved, right? And you can always refinance if you can reasonably afford it. And I emphasize that because it's an individual decision. It's personal to you, and a good agent's going to help you walk through those numbers, right? Because then we look at the median percent of original list price. This is what's also crazy. This is why, I cannot believe there's people out there saying the market's crashing. Let's use January. The median percent of original list price, which, to remind everyone, this means that if a home was listed at $300K, this is tracking when that home finally closes, what did it sell for based off of the original price it was listed for. Because sometimes it doesn't, that means not price drops, okay? Because that doesn't help us. We don't always know if the price drop had to do with marketing. We don't know if the price drop had to do with a deal that was made. We want to go original list price and the closed sales price. January, 96% for entire MLS. February, 97%. March, 98%. Are you guys starting to notice a trend here? Right? April, slightly higher, 98%. And now we're sitting in May, and it's 99%, 99.2%, and 100%. So, in other words, what we need to understand is that the demand for these listings is still going up. We had this brief window because of the volatility of rates. And if you were smart and you were ready, you got a good deal. Let me be clear. You got a good deal. I don't really care what you got in that mix. You got a good deal. Right now, we're getting this normal market. I think, and maybe I'm speaking out, I'm making a prediction here, guys, which means prediction means I'm taking the data and I'm making an assumption for what I believe will happen in the future. I think the demand for listings will continue to rise. I think that people will accept normal high rates between 6 and 7%. And I think we're going to have to fight for it. So if you've been sitting on the fence or you're an agent who's preaching otherwise, I challenge you with the facts. We study trends. The trends show strong housing demand, appreciation of listing price, days on market going down, and median percentage original list price being sold for going up. I think we're going to start to see above 100%. I really do. But I want to ask Mark and Chris, we'll start with you now, Mark. Do you think that we're going to continue to see a demand, or do you think otherwise?
No, I think the demand will always be there. I think there will always be individuals in a position to purchase a home. I think the demand isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think the demand's going anywhere. I think buyers are getting more realistic. They're willing to drive further. I've got buyers that are like, look, we'll drive an hour into work. I think the demand in outlying areas is going to continue to rise. Mm-hmm. I think some of that is going to keep the percentage of original list price up, while Davidson, Rutherford, some of the main counties will maintain. I think that the outlying areas we're going to see higher rates of rise there than in Murfreesboro, Nashville proper.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like we're seeing that here just in Dixon. There's still new developments going in here every single week. Like we're 30 minutes from Nashville, and you don't pay Nashville. Like
taxes, different lifestyle. Feel like you're living in the South.
You're talking about Dixon County, correct, Mark?
Correct. Yes,
Just
sir.
want to make sure for anybody who's listening, we're talking about Dixon County. So Dixon County is adjacent to Davidson County. Davidson is where Nashville is the heart of.
And some of the least amount of traffic getting into Nashville currently because
from the Dixon side, absolutely,
yeah. So if you're looking for commute wise, like
the hot spots are kind of like this like reverse C around Nashville, right? Where you're coming from Gallatin, Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro, Franklin, and moving kind of warm. But then there's this cold.
The smiley face below Nashville is the longest traffic. Basically, it's a smiley face underneath Nashville. So you have that 840 corridor making a smiley face. If you're coming from there, going up 2465, that's your worst drive into Nashville. And then coming from Clarksville is going to be your next worst.
Yeah, Clarksville's booming. I mean, it's
Hendersonville, and then Mount Juliet, and then Dixon.
So for those that are
easy interstate drive,
there are people considering Tennessee. And Mark, I know you're building a whole channel with Chris about moving to Tennessee, and you're doing some amazing, really awesome stuff there. And I'm so excited as that grows. What's some of the thoughts that you would leave people who are just kind of looking at Tennessee right now? Like, do you have some positive things that you'd like to share with them on what you think makes Tennessee special from your perspective? Because again, your whole channel is all about living in Tennessee. Am I right? Is that a correct?
Mark, can you hear it?
No. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. I was so worried.
You're addressing me or Chris there, but Tennessee's an incredible place to live. There's any amenity you could ever ask for. It's a great place for families. You've got every housing option you could ever want or imagine. If you want, several acres with a custom home on it, within an hour of a major city, you've got that. If you want to be directly in the city, some upscale complex or anything like that, you've got any option you could ever want. And Tennessee is a phenomenal place to job market's incredible here.
Very solid here.
Speaking on that job market, what so many people don't realize is that Tennessee it's considered the golden triangle whenever you're looking at what businesses are coming in. So we're so centrally located in the country. We have low cost of living. We have decent wages. They're paying less than they would be to employees like they would in California, but we're still getting high quality employees. Nashville is a place where employees actually want to come work. So as more and more businesses continue to look at that as Nashville as being the central hub for business, what you find is that growth, that real estate growth from a commercial and residential perspective, both tend to continue to rise. So even those people that are making, especially in like warehouse type settings, that are making investments into the Nashville area, I think they're going to continue to see that trend. And then we're feeling it very much so on the housing market side of things too. I really think that's going to continue to be a driving force for people that are moving here, just that job market in general. They say, whenever, let's say Amazon comes in and they provide, call it 2,000 jobs. Well, for every job that they provide, it takes 3 to 4 more people to actually provide enough support staff to support those people living in the community from whatever that is. So
they eat out more. Infrastructure, utilities, amenities,
fix the house, electrician, like any of that stuff, they're using HVAC guys. So like all of that stuff creates on average 3 to 4 more positions per person that a large company truly brings in. So you bring in 2,000 jobs, really it's multiply that by 3 or 4 across the board. So each large company that continues to move here, they get their tax breaks, they get all that stuff. It's going to continue to be a driving force here in Middle Tennessee for sure.
I love it. I love it. So now we kind of get into the question that I always tell agents they need to be able to answer, because we try to make this more for agents. Again, if you're a consumer tuning in, thanks so much for watching. Let us know if you're a homeowner or prospective home buyer, and you're watching right now. Did this data bring you value? Did it bring you service? Hopefully it helps you hold a standard for your agents that you're going to be working with. We have great recommendations, just to be clear, for agents that specialize in Tennessee. We love to pair people with the perfect agent to help them with all their Tennessee home buying and home selling needs. But what we're going to challenge agents here, because we always believe that this is a thing that we should do. At any point in your career, I believe that an agent should have someone be able to walk up to them and ask them one of these two questions, which they're virtually the same, which is, why is now a good time to sell? Why is now a good time to buy? So I'm challenging any agent listening right now to be able to answer that question. And hopefully all the data and all the discussion around the data really helped you to be able to give a very concise answer on why now is a good time to buy or sell. Because I just believe that if you can't answer that question, why would anyone work with you? Hey, why is now a good time to buy? I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, if I'm going in for a surgery and the doctor I'm looking at is like, who's going to perform the surgery, I'm like, hey, doc, why is this a good surgery for me to have? And he's like, I don't know. I'll be like, I don't know if I should be either working with this doctor or buying or taking this surgery. Like, I'm going to be much more hesitant. Like, I would expect that the doctor, aka the real estate agents here, who are a doctor in this market, who are looking at the health of this market, I would expect them to give me a very clear, concise answer. Here is why this is a good market or a good time to buy. Here's why it's a good time to sell. Doesn't mean it's perfect, guys. We don't have to lie. We don't have to fudge the numbers. We just tell them very clearly. And the data looks very good, I think, across the board. I think the data looks very positive. So with that being said, we're going to let Mark and Chris take off. They're going to be doing some more reports like this. Mark, why don't you share about the YouTube channel that you have going on with anybody listening who wants to just learn more about Middle Tennessee or Tennessee in general, life?
I'm going to jump in real quick. So we're not gonna shout out the name just yet. So
my bad.
We're not up and live. We're still very much in the content creation phase.
So then we'll have Mark share about what kind of content they can expect.
Let's share about what kind of content we're doing, and let's go from there.
So we are doing content that basically gives you an in-depth tour of different areas in Tennessee, right? You can always Google, why is this a good place to live? What's great about living here? What's there to do when you live here? Why do you want to live here? So on and so forth. But there are very few instances where you get people physically showing you a city to a degree where you can feel like it's a tour versus reading a brief overview of, oh, this place is great because da 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 da. This is more of an in-depth look of what living in certain parts of Tennessee is actually like.
I love that. And I think it's very much needed. I know that you're covering a lot of areas. Is that correct? You're going to be covering a lot of areas in Tennessee, not just a singular particular city. Is that right?
You just watch out, man. For too long, we're going to be going city to city, across the country, be in Europe, be everywhere. Who knows? So, but hey, we're starting in Middle Tennessee, and there are plans to expand if it works out.
See, I think that's really helpful too. It's because it shows some diversity and allows people to make a better educated decision when they're thinking about where they need to live, because then they're going to go to your YouTube channel and they're going to see options on the table. They're going to get to visually kind of experience what that culture in that area looks like, feels like. They're going to learn things about it.
I tell you, every episode, man, everybody's getting invited to the barbecue and to come sling back a couple beers. Let's do it. So
I love it.
Barbecue, beers, bonfire, axe throwing. Let's all hang out, get together.
All right. So what we're gonna do is if you guys have any final thoughts, then I'm gonna do my closing stuff. I'll let you guys go. I have my usual closing stuff. But if you have any final thoughts that you want to share with anybody viewing in, whether it's to consumers, whether it's to agents, one thing I will say that I love that we do at the Carbon Club, which is our organization, is that we believe in working with anybody of any brokerage, of any team. We just believe that together we're stronger as an industry. We believe that integrity should continue to rise, not decline. Accuracy of information should be as close to relevant as possible. So, Chris, we'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts you want to share with any agents, consumers, whatever listening in right now?
Yeah. So the number one thing I would tell any agent that is trying to grow their business is to surround yourself with people that are willing to pour into you and help you and answer your questions, and to lead by example and show you what they're currently doing, actively doing. From a buyer or seller perspective, I would look for people that are trying to make waves in the industry, not just your aunt's uncle's cousin that happens to have a license. I would look for the best of the best, people that are truly putting themselves out there, putting the work in, showing the consistency and the willingness and desire to take care of you, and to look for that opportunity to work with someone of a higher nature. So I'm constantly serving at the highest level. While everybody was at the lake this week, I was out showing homes. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff out there that once agents reach a certain level, a lot of them, they stop showing homes, they stop answering calls, they stop taking care of clients at the highest level because they're selling so much or they don't think they need to. Whereas I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, all right, I need to block out time to make sure I'm available to serve.
It's so funny that you said that, Chris. So for those who don't know, I focus predominantly on content and hosting and information. I don't sell many homes anymore. I was a top producer, and I focused a lot on that. And then I transitioned into a much more informational, educational role. But I still run consistent education and care for the clients that I served. I didn't drop the ball on them and just leave them out to dry. And I have people that work with other top agents. They had top agents as their previous one. They didn't work with me, but I knew them and I still nurtured them and educated them. And they have come to me recently. They have come to me and said, Robert, on our next one, can you represent us? Even though they know that I am not super top producer anymore, but they are aware of how much care I put into understanding the market and educating them. And it's actually so crazy. It was very surreal for me to hear someone say, yeah, we worked with a previous top producer who is still a top producer. And by the way, is a good agent. They're great at what they do, but they lost the care and the touch. And they kind of made it almost gimmicky. And they forgot that at the end of the day, this is the largest purchase that someone will make in their life.
Yep.
And so they went to me and said, listen, but we know you know the data. We know, in other words, that you take this so seriously that we're willing to leave our top producer who did a good job on their last transaction. We'd rather work with you because we believe that you're going to go into the details and not kind of just brush us off and throw us into the mess that is this
industry
and this market right now. So I just wanted to share that, and then we'll get Mark's, final thoughts.
I was doing the same thing. This weekend, literally, the buyers that I was showing literally told me, hey, we worked with so-and-so from the neighborhood we used to live in that are the top agents in the neighborhood that know everybody, whatever else. We worked with them on our last purchase. We're not real sure why we're not working with them this time, but there's a few different reasons. Like, we're still friends with them, but at the same time, we're excited to work with you on this and to be able to have you come look at our house and sell our house whenever we get this next piece of the pie figured out.
Mm-hmm.
They own like a $600,000 house. It's not chump change. They're solid people. But a year ago, they told those top agents that they worked with before what their goals were that I'm helping them solve right now. They told that agent a year ago. Those agents gave them Zillow and RealTracs and said, here you go. If you find something that looks interesting, let us know. That was the help that they've gotten over the last year.
And to be fair, because we all believe in being honest here. Those agents are doing what they were told to do. these agents for a long time were taught, a lot of them were taught to be passive, to kind of pass the reactive, like we talked about earlier. They were taught to be reactive in this industry. But the reality is like we've talked about, reactive individuals lose. Proactive, like what Chris is talking about, what he's doing for his clients. Proactive ones, like what we're doing here live, where we're talking about what's going on in our market and how to strategically set yourself up for success in the trends. Proactive from lenders like Larry, and there are other lenders who will do this. They're not many, by the way. This is what we're talking about. There's not many agents and there's not many lenders who are proactive, but the proactive ones, you will win time and time again with. Doesn't mean there won't be work, doesn't mean there won't be ups and downs, but you will come out on top compared to those who are reactive. It's statistically true. It's statistically true. The facts are there. So I think Mark's been having connection issues. We're going to just kind of let him. So Chris, thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate you. Appreciate Mark. Very excited. We'll be looking forward to the next reports you're doing. And also when you unveil the new YouTube channel that will just be telling us all about living in Tennessee.
Love it. Absolutely. Keep you posted on, man. Have a good
one. All
right,
right, brother. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye. All right, for everyone watching, we're wrapping it up right now. Just a couple reminders for those who are winning in this market right now. You're probably thinking, what are they doing? Listen, they're setting and having specific goals for the year. They're breaking them down into tasks they need to do on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis. Let me ask you, do you know each day when you wake up what you need to do that day to succeed? I'm not talking about just good things to do, very specific tasks that you need to do to succeed. Then they're going out and they're educating their clients. They're watching stuff like this. They're taking the data and the facts. They're studying it and they're saying, let me teach you how this works. And then they're being humble. They're being held accountable in a meaningful way. And even in moments of success, they're seeking advice from those ahead of them. I can't tell you how many agents are like, I sold a home last month, therefore I know it all. Listen, the best of the best in our real estate market are out there, and they are serving their community and they're learning from others, and they're continuing to be the best versions of themselves. So what should you do now? Get out there and educate your clients. Truly, I can't emphasize this enough. The media is lying, and it's sad to say that, but the media and the news stations, they're lying. Because they're not backing up with the data. We showed you the data, and you can go fact check us on this, right? Go to your loan officer and your agent and have them fact check us too. It's there. Larry, who we had on earlier, linked you to multiple articles of different aspects that we talked about as well, right? So show your clients and your consumers how real estate is one of their best hedges against inflation, against bank failures, against economic decline, and also show them how positive the market is looking. And then you need to reevaluate who around you is helping you to actually grow, right? Not just giving you pats in the back and calling you a rock star every 5 seconds because you woke up and got to work before noon. Who is there that is actually trying to help you build a successful, meaningful career? And are they in there with you every day? And if you're struggling with finding those people, reach out to us. We got awesome groups, connections, coaching, whatever you need. I want you to know that those options exist. And if you already have that in your current place, awesome. Utilize it. Make sure that you're not the reason you're not getting what you need, right? And then we'll kind of just wrap it up. Here's the harsh reality, okay? If you believe the rumors, the misleading information, your clients are absolutely the ones believing it as well. You have to go out there and say, what are the assumptions that I have made? And then what do the facts say? Fact check your own beliefs right now in the current market. Go fact check yourself, okay? And then at the end of the day, if you guys give us some good feedback in the comments, just give us some love, give us some critical feedback. What did you love about this? Was there anything here that stood out to you? Was there anything here that brought you value? We do this for free, so your feedback is essential to our growth and wanting to keep going. And then is there anything you think we can improve on? Something you missed? Something you disagreed with? Leave a comment. Your feedback is really important to us, so appreciate you. What's one thing you'd like to see more of, whether it's just the show in general or very particular data sets, or maybe something that's missing that you're like, man, I'd love to see more of this. Again, really rely on your feedback. And so without further ado, just thanks so much for attending. We try to do this the first of every month. And sometimes it's usually like the first Monday really of every month. So sometimes that's the first, or like today, that's the 5th. So just make sure you tune in, subscribe, like, follow, leave a comment if you want more. We also have some special training coming up, including a session about unique lead gen strategies that you can do right away to generate leads consistently each week. Not something that takes 6 to 8 months to produce, a single result for. We also have a follow-up for those who are interested in that. It's entirely free. That will get you into a role play and objection handling and scripts class. And then we'll even do you one better. We have a follow-up class that will teach you how to follow up with the leads that we're helping to generate, all free. So if that interests you, leave a comment. That's with our partners over at Agent Mafia. So leave a comment saying Agent Mafia, and I'll get you the link that gets you to the free stuff. All right. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you found value. Seriously, leave us some feedback. Let us know what you loved, what you think was just stood out to you and brought you value. Go crush it. Let's make our industry the best it can possibly be, and have an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month. I'll see you next time.